So welcome. Thanks for joining us today, everybody. Our team really looks forward to our webinars with you every week. This is a great way for us to share and highlight and process all sorts of the ideas and information that we are bombarded with every day. So we know that today is going to be a really helpful day as well. If your district is thinking about online enrollment or applications, or maybe you are already using online enrollment, this is going to be a great webinar for you. Today, we're joined by Dr. Chris Law, the Director of Pre-Kindergarten Services at Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools in North Carolina. Welcome, Dr. Law. Thanks for being here today.
Absolutely. Good afternoon. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Great. I think we're all anxious to get school shut down and then restarted.
I know. Yes, we are feeling that personally and professionally. So we know your team has recently started using ScribPreK, and so today we thought we would just talk with you about how that's going.
Sure. I'll just go ahead and start if you'd like.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about CMS and your team.
Yeah, so here at Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools, for pre-kindergarten, we have several programs available. Two of the programs that we handle here in the county are actually handled by the school district itself. And we also have a Mecklenburg County level program that is not handled by the school district. But within Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools, we handle our Bright Beginnings program for 4-year-olds, as well as manage the contract for the North Carolina Pre-K program. Between the two programs, we screen more than 6,000 3-year-olds every year. So one of the issues that we deal with continuously, obviously folks on this call will appreciate, is the volume of paperwork that is associated with each child, each family, that has to be processed in order for a child to qualify for a seat in our program. The majority of our program is funded through either Title I or the North Carolina Pre-K program, and we also have some local seats available. So with each one, we obviously have a good bit of compliance to make sure that we keep track of everything, and every school gets every piece of paper that's associated with a child. And so with that, while we have great things to offer, over the development of the program's time over the past 20 years, I like to call it society has moved along and schooling has not kept up with the same pace. And I know we all understand that. So being able to accommodate the needs of families and is critical to us in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg school system. We recognize not all of our families are able to access education easily, being in a county that is as large as Mecklenburg County. Many of our families have difficulty with transportation, language access, and just being able to get correct information on how to apply for a program that's going to meet the needs of their child. Currently, the model is if a family wants to access pre-K services through the school district, they have to come to a single facility by appointment only and have all of the required documentation with them on the day of their appointment. If they miss their appointment or they arrive without the appropriate documentation, it can take them 6 to 8 weeks to get another appointment, to be seen, for their child, to be screened, to be considered for a finite number of slots we have in our program. And we have just under 4,800 seats available in our programs. So we obviously screen more than we can actually place. So having a mechanism to being able to handle all of the volume that comes with each family and to serve them in a timely manner is on a good day a difficult thing. So about 7 months ago, we kind of embarked on looking at what options do we have to kind of update what goes on in our department and how to meet the needs of our families a little more. And that's when we came across, Scribbles and the ScribPreK software. So what we're able to do now with our online application is manage the documents effectively and efficiently so that we can get children into a seat in one of our programs in a more timely fashion and provide a better access point for our parents who may not have the transportation or the ability to make a particular appointment time in our facility. And the software has given us the ability to do that.
Yeah, and especially at this kind of, at this time with everything happening where you really are not encouraging people to come into an office and
Absolutely.
And share pens and clipboards and stuff like that.
Yes, and we were very fortunate in our rollout of this. The timing was almost perfect. When we rolled this out, our initial rollout time was in May, and as we saw that we were going to be dealing with some challenges here, we accelerated our timeline, and you guys were great to be able to work with us and our project management to get that done over a month ahead of time. And so we began the implementation almost at the same time that our schools began shutting down for the COVID. So one of the things it's allowed us to do is keep moving. We have not missed a beat as far as screening our kids or being able to put our kids into the system for placement in schools for our upcoming 2021 school year.
And so that was one of my questions, was about training and implementation. So that's gone well, and your team feels like you said you guys haven't skipped a beat, so everybody's kind of on board and the training hasn't been an issue.
Yes, and actually it's been a really good experience. I'll be honest with you. We deal with a lot of vendors, obviously, just like everyone else. And my staff, I'm very fortunate that I have a very experienced staff. The staff that I work with has been in the department many, many more years than I have. And they know their jobs very well. They know the processes in and out. They know the schools that they work with. They know the contacts at the schools. So training a very experienced staff on something that's completely opposite of what they're used to doing, going into it was kind of actually scary for me because I did not know how my staff was going to respond. But fortunately, we had the two ladies that were leading the charge on this, our enrollment coordinator and our compliance coordinator, were able to work with the trainers to give an understanding of this is the high level that our staff works at, and this is the high level of training that's required for them to be able to shift and be able to do something different and do it equally as well as what they're currently doing.
Oh, that's terrific. That's really good. Yeah, you kind of are answering a lot of the questions I had already. So things are going really well, right? You said families have responded really well. And then my next question was about your team. What was your team response? So you said the two ladies that were kind of heading the charge, kind of jumped on board quickly. What about the rest of the team?
So the rest of the team has been very open to the product. I think the advantage we have here is, our business processes existed for probably a late 1990s, early 2000s structure of doing business in schools. What we've done now is kind of move things up, time-wise to something that's current and relative to what parents are used to doing in a lot of ways already. So for example, being able to go out and create a profile for their child and take a picture with their camera of the documents and upload those is not something that's foreign to most of our families. That is a concept that's very relevant to all of us now in the time we live in, whereas 20 years ago, that was not the case. And so I kind of keep working with my team that, we're just catching up to where everybody else is. And we're not at full scale at this point, but we're getting there. And we purposely took the process very slow. Again, having an experienced staff, there is that point where folks could be resistant. However, I think that they have experienced the lag time and the problems of not getting kids into seats and being frustrated with paperwork getting from point A to point B reliably. In where it's supposed to go to the right person who may have changed jobs, all of those components consistently. And so they've been very receptive to the product because it solves a lot of the problems that they've lived for a lot of years. Mm-hmm.
And you were talking about the family and community response. So it sounds like the team's on board, family's on board. And if you could just kind of expand on what you were talking about, like the families are already kind of used to doing this. So this wasn't a big hurdle for them?
Yes. Bringing folks up to speed with a technology like this was, again, it's something most folks in their daily life in some capacity already do. Folks are, we approach things from looking at it through, folks know how to create a profile on Facebook. Folks know how to create profiles on different social media sites. So this really was a point of us just providing education on this is how we do business now. And so it really was a full stop on we're stopping old business practices and we're starting new now. So our folks, our parents that may not have experience with this, we still provide in-office support for this. So a family still can come to our facility, and we will walk them through the process of this. We will have the computer available there for them to scan their materials in right there in our office. However, this has just become a very natural option for folks. And I really do think doing this, it's more than just paperwork. And these are some of my thoughts for some other questions, but it's more than just paperwork. We're providing access for our families who struggle with access. And you know, our facility, while it's located in the southern part of the county, we serve families that may be 30 miles away as far as diameter of the county. And so it's very difficult for families who don't have transportation just to get to our facility. Mm-hmm. So by doing this, we are automatically increasing the possibility that a child will have access to pre-K services.
Yeah, and the engagement as well. You're able to really engage with families because they're able to go onto that dashboard and see real time what's happening to their application or where their child might be in the process. So have you heard anything about, you know, has anybody said that's something that they like? Has that made the work easier for your employees?
So with the families, you know, they have the option of leaving voicemails for our staff. As far as, you know, my staff handles so many phone calls during the actual course of a day. But within the software itself, where a family can leave a message for our staff, it changes our workflow. It allows our staff to kind of go ahead and measure, these are the things I have to get done to serve all of the families today, instead of the model of every phone call being different. I have no idea what the next phone call is going to bring. I can actually, as an employee now in this department, lay out, here are all the cases I have to manage all day long today. These are the ones with missing documentation where I need to call this parent. I can organize my day a little bit. I can already know, here are the hiccups in the system. Here's the business process that's an old process we need to update in order to make sure that our families are having that experience we want them to have. And that family experience is very, very critical to us, because what we know about our program is that the advertising we do about our program is mostly word of mouth. Our families communicate with each other much more effectively than we ever could as a school system. They know one another, they live in the same communities, and they talk. Mm-hmm.
They do. They do. And so they have a lot of great things to say, I'm sure, and I'm sure this is just helping that cause.
Absolutely.
So have there been any other positive benefits or surprises when you moved to this? Something maybe you weren't anticipating that occurred?
Yeah, actually, I think one of the biggest things we've did not see coming was how dated our processes are. Look, when you actually have to sit down and use a technology like this, it really makes you look at the other things you're doing in our department. And when I say our dated processes, I don't mean just our screening portion and document management we're talking about here. Our department provides other services to the school level, and we've really been looking at this product as kind of a springboard to examine the other functions we do within our department, and how this model could apply to what those folks are doing. And so we went into this thinking one thing, this was just going to be for managing documents. And now this has really turned ourselves to looking at how we just do business, and all of this coming into alignment with COVID-19 and not knowing when we were going to return to school buildings, and how do we still function and do all of the back end things that we have to do just to make school function, even though we're physically not in the space. This has given us an opportunity to think about it in a different way, and that's been a nice surprise. And probably the other thing I would say is the biggest surprise is how fast we were able to get up and running with this product. We use a lot of products from a lot of different vendors, and some of them are more challenging than others. But this process has been so seamless and quick to go. It really has almost, well, you know, again, our two folks that have been leading this run itself. You know, the folks on your end are so well organized and are able to anticipate what we're going to ask and how we're going to ask it, and how do you apply it to our model of business, and thinking what needs to change. That's really been a surprise for something to move so quickly in what we do every day. Well, it's been a nice surprise.
That's really nice. That's really nice that you say that. Thank you very much. I will definitely let the team know what you have said. And I think that, you know, one of the reasons that we have been able to anticipate maybe questions that come up or handle things quickly are because of people like you and your team that give us ideas, that share with us what's going really well or what we can work on. I think this is a company that always wants to strive to do its best and also help the community. I think that's, we know we're a support to school systems. So the more feedback that we get, good or bad, we grow either way. So we appreciate that very much.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys have been great to work with on this.
Oh, good. So just kind of as we wrap up here, if you're in a position where you kind of see things at a macro level, so if you were to give advice to somebody else in a position similar to yours, what kind of advice would you give them right now, kind of looking at today?
Yeah. So, and it's, knowing I was coming here to do this today, I had a little bit of conversation this morning on some other meetings, and I was really trying to think what I would want to hear if I were doing this process again, not knowing what I know now. I think the biggest thing for us that made this so seamless with you guys has been that we kind of knew exactly what we were looking for. And so we looked at various products. So we took our time, number one, deciding on which vendor we were going to go with. Number two, we were very, very clear on our outcomes, what we needed from the product. And if it didn't meet that criteria, it was a no-go. But moving into your product specifically, start out slow. Be very deliberate on what you're trying to do and make sure that it is meeting your need in that way. I think one of the things that we often have problems with is we have different expectations for what we're trying to do, and they don't always get there at the same time. With this product, we knew it was highly exposed, and folks were going to be dependent upon it, so we wanted to make sure we did it slowly. So we put the best project management team in place that their function, this was their baby, to monitor this while they had everything else going on in their world. But this was an opportunity to do something different and do it well, and having that out there in front of you and just making sure that someone has constantly got their thumb on it, someone is constantly not making assumptions about what's going to happen next, that everything is delineated out clearly of what has to happen, have your timelines in place of what you need to happen by when, and just that open dialogue, communication. And probably the biggest thing is not making assumptions. Be very clear on what you're looking for and when you need it.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. I'm just thrilled to hear that your team was so on board and that your community has really benefited from
absolutely
being able to use this. And so the future looks bright for Charlotte-Meck?
Absolutely. So, our future, in Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools, our goal is to make sure that we're serving all the 4-year-old children in our county in our pre-K programs. And I can't say it enough. Our emphasis is providing access to schooling for our children, no matter what age they are. But, in our program, we're particularly focused on our 4-year-olds. And we do some actually before 4. But for our future is to expand. We would love to expand and have more 4-year-olds. We would love to have 4-year-olds in every school building in CMS. Well,
I think every 4-year-old out there is ready to move into school again. They're ready. Yes, and we answered this. So, Chris, we know you are very, very busy right now, and we appreciate that you took the time to share with us today. Thank you so much to you.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. So for those of you viewing, if you had a question in the chat box or Q&A, we'll make sure it's answered via email. As always, this webinar has been recorded and will be posted to our YouTube channel. Thank you all for attending the webinar today. We wish you a healthy and productive week. And thank you again, Dr. Law. That was very, very helpful.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye, everybody.